Well, good afternoon, and thank you so much. I am so pleased to have the legend in person. So tell us who you are, tell us your name, and what do you do?
Hi, live and in person, Lewis. I'm Lewis Taylor, and I work for an organization or a networking company, well known, Cisco, and I'm the vice president of CX services.
If I was 8 years old, how would you describe what you do?
Wow, I would liken it to, in some way, shape, or form, herding cats, but that would be oversimplifying or maybe overcomplicating things. I would say what I do is I provide um, a look at our customers' journey as they engage with Cisco or any organization. And my charter is to make sure that as you're engaged with me, you have a smooth process. You understand the value you're getting from our products. I help you get quick time to value ratio. And ultimately, what I want to do is I believe the journey for renewal starts on the first day you interact with us. So ultimately, my goal is to make your experience so great with us that you're already thinking about your next renewal with us.
Awesome. So I'm going to get you to sit back a little bit
Okay.
because you're bumping the thing and we're moving.
Okay.
All right, I
How
think
about
that'd
that?
be better. And you can still use your hands, but
Okay.
that will-
Is that still good?
yeah, it looks great. Looks great.
Okay.
Um, so what do you like about your job? What do you like most about your job?
I love the most about my job is being able to interact with people. That is my passion. It's always been my passion, whether it's customers, whether it's my organization in itself, or whether it's the company that I work for. I truly believe the key to everything we do from a success perspective in business today is all about the people. I think technologies, they've all advanced, and I think the gaps are closing from a technology perspective, but I believe the people are going to be the key for the future. And that's also a passion and something I enjoy.
Well, let's hope you're right about that one. So tell me where you were born and raised.
Yeah, I was born in South Carolina, a small town called Hopkins, right outside of Columbia, very near Fort Jackson.
Spent some time there in the military. Yeah, that's where I started my career, Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Really?
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
long
Small,
time ago.
small world. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. So when did you move? So tell me about growing up there in South Carolina.
Yeah. I'd like to say I had a fairy tale childhood. And let me elaborate on that. So, um, my father, pastor of a church, um, had his own landscaping business. I grew up on a working farm. So, everything about growing up made me the person that I am today. Even if you include like my military background and the different companies I've worked at, the one thing or multiple things that I can take away was like work ethics, giving back, being a part of the community, understanding that the world doesn't revolve around you, but you have a chance to make a mark in the world and kind of be you. And I didn't know what it was like to go shopping in a grocery store until I left home. Because growing up on a working farm, we raised everything we ate, including the meat we had, right? Veggies, et cetera, et cetera. So it was nothing for us to say, okay, we're having chicken today. Well, who drew the straw to go out and take care of the chicken in the yard? And I think everyone knows what I mean there. Or a couple of times a year we killed a bunch of hogs, and we had huge freezers, and once a year we killed a cow. We always had beef, and in between that we had all the other, I like to call them essentials of life, but they were so much I think we were so enriched to have that growing up, because it gave me an appreciation for like working for what I have and someone not giving me things. I always felt like I had to earn everything I had.
Yeah, one of my favorite places, growing up in Alabama with my grandma, which she lived on a farm, and she had a well, like a real well in the backyard. That's how she had her water.
Yeah.
Used to love that. I used to love that. And then of course, you grow up and you're like, what? She didn't have running water, right? But it's like you don't think of things like that when you're in it because it's like that's the norm. I mean, obviously that wasn't the norm at our home, but it was like, when you go to grandma, this is it's like, oh, you get to pull the water up out of the well and
I am very familiar with that. Do you
top of the
remember
wood.
the old pumps that you had to prime?
Yeah.
To me, the water tasted so sweet. There was no better tasting water than the fresh water you got out of a well or a fresh pump.
Let
Like
me
the
tell
water
you.
today just has no comparison to that.
Yeah, I would tell you, like I like Fiji water and it's the same, to me, it's like that taste, like you said, when you taste well water, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like it's a very different taste,
yeah,
from the water we get, city water, right?
yeah.
City water. Yeah, yeah, it was always so cold. It was,
Yes,
so cold.
refreshing. It didn't matter what the temperature
Yeah.
was, the water always tastes so refreshing.
Yep, yep. That's amazing. That's amazing. And it's so crazy that, it seemed like it was so long ago, right?
Yes, yes.
Wow, amazing. So, you mentioned military background. Talk to me about that journey.
Yeah, so I joined the military when I was 17 or so. Um, I in high school I did numerous things outside of working on the farm, including I excelled in track and things like that. And my parents, because I was the oldest, I would have been the first one to go to college. But instead of going to college, I elected to go into the military, and don't have a regret at all on it. I think it enriched my life in so many different ways. I mean, by the time I was 18 plus years old, I was already leading a small team. There is no way, if you step back from that and you say you take that path, that road to college, there's no way you get that kind of leadership experience and just opportunities, right? So look, I'm not downplaying like education and how important it is today. I'm not at all. I'm just saying for me, that was the amazing journey. Now I later, got educated because the military pays for that stuff, right? Why not take advantage of it while you're in? But I think that was the best journey for me. And look, I got to travel the world, I got to meet great people. I learned a lot about leading people. And there is no better way to learn about leading people when you're leading them when the times are the toughest. Because that's when you see the true nature of people. And that's where you get your most growth. And that's where they get their most growth. And as leaders, you get an opportunity to really shape, mold, and help develop. So yeah, absolutely. Some of the best times of my life, I'd say the foundation outside of growing up the way I did, that made me the leader I am today.
And so, how did you transition from the military to, your present course?
Yeah, so I often get asked that because a lot of folks have this perception about the military being very rigid and very like, oh my God, like this, here comes another military guy. I'm sure you've heard it too, since you spent time in the military as well. But I operated in small teams most of my military career. And it taught me to be able to, one, develop, but not only develop those skills, but lean on the person to the left and to the right of you and have a trust with them, have candid conversations about something they did or didn't do, be able to explain the mission so that everybody understands it and we're all operating as a unified front. Understanding you don't always have to be the smartest guy around the table, so that you take advantage of the synergies of that team. And the transition for me, I think was fairly easy. I think, at least I think so. Um, when I retired from the military, um, I was being recruited by telecom organizations. They were the hot thing at the time, looking for leaders from the military because they were really looking for more of that leadership aspect than the technical aspect. Um, and I joined Sprint as a leader, and some of the best times I spent 10 plus years with Sprint as a leader, throughout multiple organizations within Sprint.
Mm.
And I would say the transition went extremely well, just because the organization was willing to embrace the leadership that I was bringing to the table. And they understood that I was adaptable.
Mm.
I could learn on the fly.
Yeah.
I was going to be able to guide and develop. I could set goals and drive a team towards those. I could build a strategy and make sure that I could cross-functionally get folks to align to that strategy and help support it. So for me, I think it was a pretty easy transition, but I've never been a guy that when you walk into a room, I've never been that guy that I need you to demand your attention. The way I like to carry myself is when you walk into a room, just based on how I'm interacting with you and I'm engaging with you, that you understand I'm a senior leader in the room.
Mm.
And with those properties, I think it was a pretty easy transition. Now, I will say, I've seen folks that transition from the military into the corporate world, and they were just complete organ rejections, right? But that was just how they approached transitioning into, you have to realize there is a difference, right? And ultimately, because we operate in a corporate environment, we have a choice. I can decide to do or not do something, and how you handle that will determine like what our relationship is for the future and how we go forward. In the military, sometimes we don't have a lot of options, or we don't have a lot of choices about whether we follow an order or not. And if you take that approach into the corporate environment, you are definitely going to be under organ rejection.
Yeah, I think the military has to do a much better um, job in the transition, you know, of leaders. Officers a lot of times, it's a little easier transition, but for our NCOs, sometimes it's pretty hard. It's
Yeah,
transition.
it's a tough challenge sometimes, but like I won't say I'm the only success story. I have peers and folks that I engage with that, spent a great deal of time in the military as well. So I believe the transition can be easy, but I think you have to own it yourself.
So true. Oh gosh. And I tell people the same thing. It's like with anything, you can allow something to use you, or you can use um, you know,
Exactly.
the skills that you've been taught to get everything you need out of it to go to your next stage. And that's how I feel like a lot of folks are not prepared,
Yeah.
because it's like they leave and then they say, oh, well, what what do I do now? You're supposed to be, that's what education is about. Education is about learning a
Yeah.
little about a lot, right?
Yes.
So that you can be a better person in whatever job you're in, right?
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
So, uh, tell me, when did you move to Austin? How long you been here in Austin?
Wow. I've been in Austin, what, 2008, 2000, let's see, oh 09, oh 08, oh 09. So I've been here quite some time.
Wow.
Um, and Austin is like, I'll tell you, I'm not just saying that because I've spent so much time here, but Austin is like one of my favorite cities because you get the best of everything here. You get the tech, you get the culture, you get the music, you get the food. I mean, I can just drill down on the food in itself. You get the people, right? It is the most welcoming city I think I've ever spent time in. And it is one of the few cities that I think your race transcends just across Austin. And you're more likely to be accepted here than anywhere else in the world based on what you bring to the table versus your race or your color or opinion even.
What advice would you give your younger self?
Wow. Move to Austin sooner. Just kidding. Well, kind of. I'd say take the time to enjoy life a little bit more. I because I spent a lot of time in the military, I traveled a lot. I got to really enjoy life, I feel like, right? But I think there were, I think, windows where I was so focused on career and so focused on being successful that I missed out on some things along the way. And I'd even say that as I transitioned into the corporate world, um, I believe, and forgive me for saying this, but I believe the Black tax does exist. And sometimes you have to work twice as hard to get the same results. And I think earlier in my career, I spent a lot of time doing that. I spent a lot of time working hard to prove I always needed to be on top. My team always needed to perform the best. I always needed to be that guy that took the soft, tough, or stretch assignments. I was always the first one to hold my hand up to take on those assignments because I always felt like I was in a position where I was proving myself every single day. And if I had to look back on that now, I think I might back off on that a little bit and maybe spend a little more time just kind of enjoying life and the things around me a little bit. That would probably be the biggest thing. Yeah.
I got some questions from Tim Ferriss that I liked. Um, one of them is, what purchase of $100 or less has positively impacted your life over the last 6 months or recent memory?
Wow, that's a good question. I'd probably say a microphone for my desk so that when I'm talking to people, they can hear me and they can hear me clearly. And I'm gonna plus that. I'm gonna add this up to $100, like a cheap little light to give me a little more glow, right? And hopefully, I'm shining today. And then a wireless keyboard. Those are probably the three things right now that I'm thinking about that I feel like enriched my life quite a bit, or allowed me to shine better when I was engaged with someone else.
Gosh, your assistant is amazing. She's already given me the perfect photo.
She
Oh,
is.
it's perfect.
She's one of a kind. Let me tell you.
Perfect. Oh my God. Gosh, you know how hard it is. Geez, get people to follow directions. Perfect. She's all perfect. Yeah. Awesome. If you had a gigantic billboard and anywhere in the world and you could get a message out to millions or billions of people, what would that message be and why?
I have a mantra that I use from time to time when I talk with people and even when I mentor. And it's three phrases, really small, I think really simple. It's step up, pull up, lead up. And I'll say them again: step up, pull up, lead up. And if I had a billboard and I could splash that out throughout the world, I would do that. And then I caveat it with each one of us that have been given something, and every single one of us at some point has been given something. It is up to us to give back so that we're continuously paying that forward. And when I say that now, I'm talking more specifically about our community. And when I use that phrase, I'm talking specifically about our community. Step up, pull up, and lead up. And when I say step up, it is up to us to take that next position and step into it. and demonstrate that we can represent when we're in the room. Be a presence in the room. Don't just come in the room and say, well, I made it. No, make a difference and continue to look for that next thing. And once you've made it, then I need you to pull up. I need you to remember where you came from, go back, grab some hands and pull them in. So that is the only way we are going to get more people like us in the room. Step up, pull up, and then lead up. And the lead up perspective is always be thinking about this. Always be thinking about it. I don't care how successful you are. When you are a person of color in the room, people are always looking at you to see how you're leading, how you're responding to things, how you show up, and how you present yourself, and how you achieve your goals. So step up, pull up, lead up. Always be that role model. Always be that person. And if you're that person, it makes it easier for the people that don't look like us to accept more of us in the room.
Absolutely. I love that. How has failure, a challenge or apparent failure set you up for later success?
I am that guy that I believe I'm not going to be successful at everything I do, but I have this conversation with every single one of my organizations. I have it with the people I mentor. The thing I am most proud of has been my failures. And here's why. Because I am much further down the road because I attempted something that was a stretch. I attempted something that gave me growth, learning, and more opportunity. And even if I only got 50% of the way down the path and I had to make a U-turn, guess what? I'm 50% ahead of everybody else. So I am totally comfortable with the, I guess the thought around failure. And I am a guy that I'm okay taking some risks. Whereas most people, hey, I need 100% of the information to move. I'm a 20-30% of this, 20-30% guy, and I'll figure the rest of it out as I go. And because I'm confident in that, I surround myself with the right people. I think about things at a much broader spectrum, and I do a lot of backwards planning. I feel good about moving forward, even when the risk is high and I don't have all of the information. And I think that has truly been something that has truly been huge for me in my career. And if you look back through all of my careers, all of my companies that I've spent time at, I can truly say I left a legacy. I left a group of folks that got promoted under my charge at the time. And the company is in a better place because I left. The next piece of that is, I think, as you think about your career, you should be positioning yourself this way. And if you're doing this in the right way, this is going to hold true for you and it's going to make your career so much better. One, take the stretch assignments that nobody wants. Be a beacon for change and be okay with it. Be okay with risk and be okay with standing out when you need to and when you have to. If you do that, I promise you, you're going to be successful compared to the peers that you're around, and you'll never have to look for your next job. Your next job will come to you.
When you feel overwhelmed, unfocused, or have lost your focus, what do you do to get back to center?
I have a perspective that's probably different than most people. So honestly, I don't think I ever feel overwhelmed. I feel like I think in this perspective, I think things are preventable and unpreventable. I think there is a way to solve something or a way not to solve something. And I think you have to always account for the people element. So as long as when I think about those things, I never really get overwhelmed with things. What I'm usually processing is, okay, how do we move forward? how do we solve this? So something has happened. It is a setback, it's a challenge, it's a point of failure, it's we didn't achieve something. I don't look at it as a point of frustration. I look at it as, okay, what can we learn from it? How do we overcome it? How do we get better? And how do we prevent it from happening in the future? And then when I need a break or I need a point of clarity, I'm a big mountain biker, which is why I love Austin. I'm also a guy that likes to bike on the road. Um, I am happy taking my bike out for a quick 20-mile ride. And that gives me it just completely clears my head. And I come back and it's almost like I have a new approach on whatever it is I'm looking at.
Over the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to?
Wow. So this is a challenge for me because saying no, typically it's a hard thing for me. It is something I work on with my executive coach. It is the one thing I think that I struggle with because I want to help everyone. I want to be everything to everyone at the time when they need it and when they want it. But what I have gotten better at is work-life balance and being able to say no to work and step away at decent hours, or saying, I'm just going to take a couple hours off and I'm going to go mountain bike, or I'm going to start my day later today. I'm going to work out in the morning, or I'm going to take my dog for a run, and making that non-negotiable time. And I think that has been the shift for me. It has allowed me to come in the midst of a pandemic where people are having Zoom fatigue, WebEx fatigue. You know, I had to shout out to WebEx, right? Cisco product. But I think with all of that, I've found this perfect recipe for me, and that is non-negotiable time. And with that, I've had to say no to some things. I've had to say no to some professional engagements that I do out in the community. I've had to say no to some work things. I've had to say no to potentially some family things. But that non-negotiable time allows me to reshape myself, refocus, retune myself. And with that, I take the non-negotiable time and I say, this is just Lewis time. That might be going for a run. It might be going for a hike with my dog. It might be biking. It might be traveling, because non-negotiable time, it varies. It could be taking a week off just to go travel. It could be taking a day off. It could be taking a couple hours off. But I have gotten really good at figuring out, okay, what makes you 100% plus when you're engaged? And what that is knowing when to back away for an hour or a day or a week, and then come back fresh and with a new perspective.
What's one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made? And it could be anything.
I say investing in, this is going to sound weird, maybe not. Investing in the mentors that I have. I think they have been key in my life. And I think no matter how hard you work, what your focus is, I think everyone should have those 2, 3 mentors that they have in their life. And I use this analogy when I talk to folks in the community or when I'm mentoring someone. Who's on your personal board of directors? And that's the way I think about my mentors. When I'm faced with something that I just want to go sound out, I'm not looking for you to give me the answer to the problem. What I want to do is talk through it with you and have someone listen and be able to like steer me, but not give me the answer. So when I think about like the best investments I've made professionally, they are probably investing in what I call my own personal professional board of directors.
And what type of people do you have on your board?
So I have usually someone who's in tech so that I can, kind of bounce ideas off of. Someone that's going to be in the finance arena so that I can talk, whether it's personal or professional finance with them. And then someone I like to call more of a life coach style mentor, where it is more focused on like the personal Lewis and how do Lewis personally become the best and how do I evolve personally. So those are the top three things I focus on. And then I'll have other folks in my life, but I use the analogy reason, season, lifetime. So when I say reason, season, lifetime, sometimes I have mentors in my life for a specific reason. I'm going through something and I need someone that can help me get through that particular thing. Sometimes I need it for a season. Sometimes it's going to be, I don't know, get me through the winter season. And I'm speaking hypothetical here, and then sometimes it's lifetime. Sometimes you start off with a mentor that's for a reason, they switch into a season and then it become a lifetime. But that's how I view that.
I'm looking forward to this answer here. What's an unusual habit or absurd thing that you love? Recognizing everything's relative.
Okay, so buckle up, get ready. Everyone knows the meat scene is really big in Austin and in Texas, right? I can make a mean meat shake.
What?
So, protein powder, leftover steak or brisket, and jalapeno, some orange juice, a little water, and some ice in a blender makes a mean protein shake. And I call it the meat shake. It's my recipe. That's copyrighted. Well, I'm kidding about the copyrighted. So don't be copying that unless you give me credit. Call it the Lewis shake. So yes, and I'm not exaggerating. That is it. I love meat. No joke there. I embrace Austin and all of the barbecue and steak joints there, right? But if you have any leftover, hey, there's no better way to cover it than pop it in the freezer, add it to your protein shake.
What does it taste like?
Well, I mean, you taste the hint of the meat, but if you put in chocolate protein powder, that chocolate with the meat. Okay, so what is it? The mole sauce, I think it is, that's made of chocolate.
Yeah, it's like a
And you
dark.
eat that, yeah, and you eat that over meat, right? So think about the same flavor combination. I promise you, it's not for everyone. But I think if you can get your mind right, then you can definitely get past like drinking it. And once you do, when you get the right combinations, it is absolutely just amazing and extremely high in protein. I'm a big protein guy. So
Okay. Yeah. Oh, the Lewis meat shake. What was it?
yeah, that's right. Let's just call it the Lewis meat shake.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we might put that in there. So you'll have people all over the world.
It's all good. No secret. Lewis is a big protein guy. And yes, I will find a way to put some stuff in the blender.
Oh my gosh. Life lessons. What life lessons have you learned?
Always give back. Always be willing to say yes before saying no. Understand that there's going to be a human element or a human component to everything you do. So always consider the people in what you're doing and how it's going to impact them. And realize no matter who you're dealing with and what the change is, people are always going to say, what's in it for me? So always think about that. And the final piece is just represent, like step up, pull up, lead up. Always be present in the room. Always realize people are always watching you. And they're always looking to see what you're going to do next, how you're going to do it, and how you show up.
What's your superpower?
I like to say my superpower is getting the best out of people. I've had some amazing teams and amazing folks around me. Realizing I don't need to be the smartest guy in the room, but I've managed to surround myself with a bunch of successful people in multiple organizations. And that has been the key to my success. And I truly believe if you're doing the right things, you'll never have to look for a job. The job will find you.
Very, very true. What are you most proud of?
I'd say I'm most proud of the legacy I've left behind at different companies. I've managed to get a lot of people promoted, mentor a lot of folks that are now successful and operating in the tech and CX community, giving back to our community and getting folks engaged and wanting to be a part of the tech community. Those are all things I'm really, really proud of. And even if I only touched one life, it's one life more than I would have if I hadn't made the choice to give back.
I don't know if that's you buzzing or me buzzing.
I don't know. Let's see. I think it was me. Sorry about that. It's off, but it was still vibrating. And hopefully I didn't mess that question up. I'm happy to answer it again.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it again just in case.
Okay. You want to ask it again, or you just
That
want
was
me to?
that was the what are you most proud of, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell me.
I'm most proud of giving back and the legacy I've left in the companies I've been a part of. And when I say legacies, I mean how I've helped our community, how I've gotten folks promoted, how I've mentored folks, and now they're beacons in the community as well. Those are the most meaningful things to me. And I think when we think about all of us, when we sit back and we think about what has happened throughout our life and throughout our career, the biggest thing I want to be known for is someone that was willing to reach back and help someone else, someone that was willing to help in the community, and someone that left a legacy of positivity, growth, and you can do it mindset.
Describe your experience of being a Black man in technology.
I think each of us travel that road differently, but for me, it has always been about representing. It has always been about showing up, fitting in, being a beacon in the room, and leaving an impression that when you leave the room, someone realized Lewis was in the room because he made a difference. So my experience has been, I think like most of us, it's been up and it's been down. I've had some amazing experiences across organizations. I've had the time, I can tell you a story, and I think I will if you'll indulge me just for a second. I was with Sprint at the time, and yes, I'm gonna say the company. And I was interviewing a vendor with a few folks from my team. And I was engaged in a conversation when the vendor and his team walked into the room. And one of my managers at the time engaged the vendor. So the vendor sits down, we get ready to kick off. I'm a big, when I make an introduction, it's not about title for me. It's about, hi, I'm Lewis Taylor. I'm a part of organization X. And that's usually how I'll identify myself. You'll never hear me say in a room, hi, I'm Lewis Taylor. I'm the vice president of blah, blah, blah. Nice to meet you. When I'm in a setting, a professional setting, I feel like we're all there. And when it's time to make the decision, if that's where it needs to go, I'll make that decision and I'll step up and I'll own that. But what I like to do is check egos at the door, because then we're the most powerful as a team. So I didn't identify myself as the director in the room who was the decision maker. So this particular vendor kept looking to my manager and asking him specific questions. And I finally said, like, you can address the rest, you can address the rest of the room, right? And he said, well, why do you care? And I said, you know what? Before I could say anything, another manager sitting next to me said, you realize that's the director, the decision maker, right? I said, this meeting is over. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. I had his boss's boss calling me, apologizing. I had a letter, which you don't get that often, in writing, because they realized they lost a huge contract because of how that person engaged me. And to this day, I won't get into who the vendor was. Don't know if they're still around or not. But to this day, if I heard that name, you can best believe I would never engage with that company again. They set a precedence with me that I'll never engage with them ever again for anything. So that's been on the bad side of it. On the good side of it, I think I've gotten some opportunities because I am a man of color in the tech community, and there's so few of us. I think it's also springboarded me in some ways into positions of advisory on company boards and startups and things like that, solely because I am a man of color. Now, I'd like to think it's because I'm truly qualified and I bring something to the table, but I also know it's because I'm a person of color as well, right? So I've had the whole spectrum. Ultimately, though, I think we control our own journey, and it's up to us to build that road. It's up to us to bridge those relationships. It's up to us to speak up when we need to speak up. It's up to us to stand out when we need to stand out. And it's up to us to continuously represent and not sell ourselves out to say, I'm just going to walk into the room and I'm not a Black man. I'm always going to stand out as a Black man. I'm always going to make sure I'm representing our people, but I also want to be the best I can be. And I want to be considered for what I bring to the table.
Yeah, that I remember my brother's 6'4", and he's 13 years younger than me. And we were going to buy a car for him. And the same thing happened where the sales guy kept talking to him, and so, and my brother's very shy, very quiet, even though he's, this big, tall guy. And he's telling the guy what he wanted. And I just didn't think that was the right car for him because it was a big car, and it was like a Suburban, right? And
Yeah.
my brother's just starting, just graduating high school, and so I said, yeah, I don't think that's the right car for him. And he goes, well, well, you don't get to make the decision, or something like that, he said. And
Yeah.
so, and then my brother kind of looked like, oh shit.
Oh
And
boy, you just
so
opened
he
up a can.
said, yeah. So then like I said, my brother rarely says, anything. And he's like, man, he's like, she's the one buying the car. And he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, thanks. I was like, but we appreciate you, but bye.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what a dumb thing to say,
Yeah.
regardless of whether or not I was going to pay for it or not.
Exactly. But that is something I think we have to, and I don't want to get on this tangent, but that is something as a people, we have to get really good at. If someone doesn't respect you, then they shouldn't respect your money. So don't give it to them. And I live by that rule. If you don't respect me, I'm not going to spend my money with you.
Yeah, and when I started this company, I watched what is it? The other one, the business magazine, Black Enterprise, Black Enterprise.
Yep.
And I heard Butch say, when he was doing events and stuff, and he said, whatever I spend my money on, I also want to make sure they're spending their money on me. And like, he drives a BMW, so he was like, I wanted a BMW, so I called the company and said, I want to buy it from a black BMW dealer, right? And so they were like, oh, well, there's one right here, and so he's like, that's not a black BMW dealer. And he's like, oh, well, that one is like 200 miles away. He goes, I don't care. He goes, if I'm going to do business with you, I want to do business with, this is what I want. And he said the same thing. He's like, you have to, your money is power. And that's the thing that we don't get sometimes is that our money is power. We spend a hell of a lot of money with a lot of these companies and they do not respect
They do not. I
what,
mean, I was talking to my wife the other day and we were talking about, and this is not recorded, hopefully this part, but you use it however you want. But we were talking about like our power in the community and our dollars, spending dollars. And what you've seen is you've seen like the gays overjump us. You've seen the
oh
Asians
God.
overjump us. We're still at the bottom, even though we have huge spending power. And the reason for that is because we as a people, we won't take a stance. We won't say, if you don't market and advertise to us, we won't spend our dollars with you.
Yep.
Right.
And we're
We won't
afraid
say
we're
exactly.
afraid to. We're afraid to. And because I know when I initially started this and I was like, oh, I don't want to offend people, blah, blah, blah. And then when I heard Butch say that, I put it in there and I actually listed the companies that were specifically targeting African Americans, because if you look at the money that, we spend, I mean, it's trillions of dollars that we spend every day. And, these folks, they could care less, they could care. I mean, it's getting better. It's definitely getting better, but
It's better, but it's not there. But I think we as a people, we're going to have to do more to
oh
take
God,
a
yeah.
stance on it. We
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, yeah, and even on Black media over the last year or so with George Floyd, we've been and Mark, what's his name, Roland Martin, he's really big at it as well, talking about spend your dollars helping to build black journalists and black
Yes.
media outlets because we're never going to be as big as you guys because we're 12% of the population first of all, right? So, so it's going to be difficult for us to even, get there. But, I can go on and on. But,
Yeah.
okay, let's. I know you don't have all day, but just a few more questions. You have kids?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. All out of college, proud to say.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
Congratulations.
three boys. Let's see, one works for Amazon
Nice.
in the tech world. Proud of that. One's a teacher
Nice.
that also has a tech degree from Virginia Tech. And the other one works for the Government Environmental Protection Agency.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm extremely proud of that. Couldn't ask for better kids
That's awesome.
and couldn't ask for folks that are standing out in the community and also being great role models as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Both my sisters are teachers, so gosh, I mean, we definitely need more Black
Yeah.
men. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. So what do you think your sons would say about you? How would they describe you?
I'd probably say funny, disciplined, competitive when it comes to them, because they're at an age now where we're competitive on a lot of things, right? Giving, mentor, probably mentor or coach. We've had some, great discussions along the way about career choices and where they should go. And I'd probably say role model or example.
How do you want to be remembered once you're gone?
Um, I, which you probably knew this, well, you do. I recently lost my father, and I remember we were at the memorial service and the funeral, and everyone's talking about his legacy. And one of my brothers said afterwards, well, if no one knew Dad when he was alive, they absolutely knew him now that he's gone, because we didn't have to say anything. The community was talking about that legacy he left behind. And for me, that would be the most important thing. Like, what's the legacy I leave behind? Meaning, how did I fit in the community? How many lives did I touch along the way that are better because we crossed paths? And then the final one is, what mark did I leave in the professional space that someone else says, I want to get there one day.
That's amazing. And I think you talked about it a little bit, but how do you give back?
I spend quite a bit of time doing talks with different organizations. I mentor in the community. I, in multiple organizations, have led Black mentorship programs. Um, I have championed across organizations to be more DEI friendly. Um, I truly believe that we need to teach our folks to fish, not give them fish. So what I mean by that is we need to like embrace a culture and then have them realize they are going to have to do those three things in that mantra, which is step up, pull up, and lead up. And those things are really, really important to me. And I think those are the things that I think um, mean the most to me when I give back in the community. Is how do I get you to think about what's next for you? And when you get to that next thing, how do I get you to think about how do you get someone else to follow in your footsteps, or how do you help someone else along the way? There's that old analogy, each one teach one. Well, as a community, if we took that on, and I like to embrace that, and everywhere I go in each exchange, I like to make sure that folks know it is possible to achieve wherever you want to go in your professional career. But you need to think about it and be very purposeful when you think about where you want to go in your career and how you want to get there.
How are you using your platform and the power of your platform for good?
I think it goes back to another question we had talked about, but it is all about being that force or presence in the room, realizing that folks are always going to be watching you no matter what position you excel to, leaving an impression that is still in the room once I leave that room, making sure as you mentor, coach, develop, you're building that right mindset where folks can continue to grow and realize, hey, I don't have to stay in this box. I can branch outside of that. So for me, it is all about like, how do I help folks in the community? How do I look in the community myself? Because I, regardless, consider myself to be a role model, regardless. Even if you don't look at me as a role model, I believe I'm a role model because how I represent myself around people that don't look like me will determine how comfortable they are about bringing more people like me around. So for me, it is all around giving back and how I represent myself and being that role model.
Who's your favorite person?
Wow, I have so many. I think, you know, we can go to like President Obama, we could go to Michelle. But when I was with Dropbox, I had the pleasure and opportunity to meet Condoleezza Rice. And I got to tell you, the power that woman just has in a room when she speaks and how she carries herself. She used to sit on our board, by the way. So, you know, I got to interact with her a little bit. And I have to say, she left a huge impression on me. So I definitely say she's a force to be reckoned with.
What's your favorite book or book you'd recommend?
This is going to be very, very simple. So for those that have the novels and the big ones and they're really complex, just realize Lewis is just still a simple country boy. But the book I recommend to a lot of folks. I read it multiple times throughout the year, and I read it every year. And every time I take over an organization or I bring a new person into the team, I recommend this book. Simple, easy read. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And if you've never read it, look, I'm not getting any royalties, but I highly encourage you to go read that book. Very simple, but it teaches you a lot about life lessons and how to be successful with your professional career.
Yeah, I agree. What's the best place you've ever lived?
Wow. I'm going to shorten it to just say Austin, but I've lived all over the world. But I think Austin is a place that anyone would be proud to call home.
You're the one transitioning from Cisco?
I am transitioning into Cisco from Dropbox.
Okay, okay. So, what's next?
What's next? Um, I think I'm living my best life right now. I get to be advisors for startups. I'm heavily involved in the community from mentorship. I'm on this campaign from a DEI perspective to help drive some progress there. So those are things I'm all really passionate about. So like what's next for me, I guess, is just continuing the evolution of that and how we continue to set a good example and continue to get our folks in the community to come into tech. And it's not just engineering that you have to look at in the tech space. There are so many other opportunities at those tech companies. And traditionally, whether you realize it or not, tech companies tend to pay extremely well for their talent. So yeah, take a gander the next time you're looking for a job. And hopefully, if you're doing the right things, the job is looking for you. But think about the tech community.
Did you tell me what you were most proud of?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
There's another one that I don't know if you answered that I want to make sure. What do you do in your leisure time, or what do you enjoy?
Playing with my dog, Diva, traveling with my wife, Kiana, mountain biking, working out. I'm a big fitness nut. I like to stay in shape. And did I mention travel? Because that's probably my number one like outlet. I absolutely love travel. I love exploring and doing things, but I am past the days of traveling and going places and hanging out where all the tourists go. Those days are long gone with me. So when I go places now, I want to see it as the locals see it. So instead of renting a car, or I do that sometimes, but instead of taking Uber, this is risky, so I don't recommend it for everyone, but I go outside. A lot of times there are taxi drivers hanging out. Hey, what would it cost to like rent your taxi for the whole day? Show me around. Show me the best places to eat. Show me the best places to shop. Show me where the locals hang out. Show me where the locals go to have fun. Show me the best places to go to do X, Y, and Z. And I do that, and I build my itinerary off of that first day. And literally, I kid you not, we spend the whole day and I'm at his disposal. Show me around, show me the best places to eat. And then I build my itinerary off of that. And sometimes I ask, like, what would it cost for you to pick me up Thursday, 8 a.m.? And we're going to go from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we're just going to see the community. We're just going to hang out. We're going to have some food. I'm going to get to live your life. And that has been some of the best experiences for me, because here's what's happened. I've gotten to meet families that I wouldn't have met. I've gotten to see how people live on the other side of the tracks, right? I've gotten to give back because I built relationships with folks along the way by doing that. My life is so much more enriched because I got to like explore and see places from a different perspective and not from the tourist side of things.
Yeah, we did that. My sweetie and I went to Turks and Caicos for my birthday in June, and we I'm the same way. And I think that's a military thing because, we know there's another side, not just the
Yes.
beautiful, right, beaches
Yeah.
and stuff that we see. And yeah, we got to see a lot. I mean, the people,
Yeah.
just amazing.
And the food. Oh my
Oh,
God.
yes. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Authentic
Yes,
food,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. Versus, what they're gonna toss at you
Yeah,
in
yeah. And it's
some restaurant.
beautiful food and it's great food too, but it's, yeah, totally
It's not
different.
real. It's just not
Totally
real.
different. Yeah. And I hear when my sister, when she travels with this, and I'm always like, let's stop by the road, the side of the road. And, those are like the best places to eat. And it's like, what? You can eat that? I'm like, yeah. You
Yeah,
just ask people what's the best.
exactly.
And they'll tell you, right?
That's the best food though. I gotta tell you, oh my goodness. Like I got a chance to travel what throughout like Central and South America for a while. And I gotta tell you, some of the best food was like in these hole in the wall spots. Some of the best food was in someone's house. They literally just open their door at dinner time. Whoever shows up, you pay a price and you eat whatever's cooked. It was amazing, like amazing. And I got life experiences where I got to like hear what people were going through. And sometimes there was a language barrier, but you just figured it out. And it was, when I look back and I think about my travel, those were some of the best like travel experiences.
I agree. Um, and did you tell me what you enjoy doing in your leisure time?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, well, the last question then is what does it mean to be chosen as one of our top 10 technologists for 2021?
When I was first contacted, I got to tell you, words just could not describe like how excited and overwhelmed and emotional it was for me. Um, Austin and tech in itself is a huge community of tech, and to be selected with the company that's a part of this is just amazing. It'll go right up there. I'll tell you this, it'll be in my top 10 life accomplishments for sure. Um, I I'm still having trouble describing how excited I am about this. And see, I see you turn this into an Oprah moment. Yeah, and you brought out that you tapped into that emotional side of things, but I am still like reeling with excitement, and so many people have been contacting me, congratulating me, and it's just been, I mean, it just means so much to be a part of a community like this.
Yeah, you guys are pretty amazing. Well, that is my last question. Like I said, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think that's it. I think I've buried my soul for the last an hour or so. So
I know,
I'm,
right?
I, I'm looking forward to see how you cut this up a bit. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Always, I know I get people, they're like, oh, I don't know, can you tell us the question? It's like, you got all the answers, man. You've got all the answers.
I never want the questions. Believe it or not, my EA will tell you I speak best
Hmm.
when I'm speaking from the heart.
Yeah. And
Then
most people, that's how you get the real you, because it's
yeah,
easy for you to, especially people who are in high places, to listen, formulate my thoughts and all of
yeah,
that. But that's not who you are, right? That's who you want people to, that's the facade that we show the world, right? That's not
yes.
who we really are. So I get this, right? I get all the stuff, the good stuff. But then it's like whatever's top of mind, that's how you feel. And that's what
Yeah,
I say. That's what the real person is. So, well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing. And I appreciate it. And and thanks for being patient. I know this has been a difficult time for you, in your loss and traveling and new job and all of this stuff. But you seem to have really done it with grace. So congratulations on that. And
Well, thank you, thank you. And once again, it's an honor to be a part of this amazing group of folks. And I am still like overwhelmed with just how excited I am And it's humbling. It truly is, like, to be a part of such an amazing culture and to really just stand out in the community. And I hope like this is a beacon that allows others to say, this is where I want to go and this is where I want to get to.
Absolutely. So is Dropbox here in Austin, or were
Yeah.
you somewhere else?
Yeah. Hmm.
Is Dropbox downtown? Is that the one in
Yeah.
the big
Yeah.
tower downtown? It's like on
No, so
Congress.
Dropbox is on 5th and Congress,
Mhm.
like we're
Yeah.
1 block over from 6th Street,
Okay.
but right in that sweet spot where you can walk to everything downtown.
Mhm. Yeah. And so now you're at
I'm at
Cisco,
Cisco now.
which
Yeah.
is
So
yeah,
Cisco still has a presence in Austin as
yeah,
well.
yeah. My ex used to work at Cisco, and he got laid off like back in what 2006 maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but he's at Apple now, so of course he's at his dream job. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Sometimes taking a step back or having that detour is exactly what we need to get us where we want to go.
well, awesome. Well, let's see what's next. I don't know if you got an email from Dr. Alvin. Do you know if you got an email?
I probably did.
Yeah, he's
I admit, I'll tell you, between the moving,
oh,
passing
that's
my
right. And you've been
father,
on, yeah.
like email has been
Oh,
like
for sure. Yeah.
it's been a delay. I'm usually not that bad with email, I promise. But
And
lately I've been a little behind on it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we obviously invite you to the gala. We'd love to celebrate you there. We obviously have your award. We'll be presenting. So if you can't come, please send a proxy.
Well, I plan on attending. I
Okay.
was gonna ask you like, and maybe it's in the email. So if it is, I won't bother with you.
Okay.
Bother that with you right
I
now.
I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure I have your email, right? If I have your
Yeah, you do.
email, then
Yeah.
yeah, I should have sent it. But yeah, so there's we definitely love for you to come with, with all of your supporters. But we also, I know you said you just left Dropbox. I don't know, we also love to invite your former folks because, they sometimes like to take credit for your success.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know if there's somebody at Dropbox want us to give a call, but we can definitely call them and let them know.
Okay. Yeah, if it's in an email somewhere, what I'll do is respond,
Okay.
and if you're not on it, I'll CC you, and
For sure.
we'll
Yeah, well,
do that.
yeah, I'm excited to see you guys in person. So I mean,
Yeah.
just amazing folks. Who knew that techies had actually personalities, man?
Right? And they got to give us more credit. They just got to.
Yeah. This helps. This helps.
Yes,
This helps.
absolutely.
I don't know
Well,
that.
hey, thank you again. Have a great Friday, great
You
weekend.
too. You too. Enjoy this weekend and you don't have little kids, but
Yeah.
enjoy anyway.
Yeah. All right.
God bless you guys, and I'll still be praying for you and your family.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And your sympathy and kind words have really just been amazing. So thank you for taking the time to do that. That's just first class. So.
Well, thank you. Well, take care, and I can't wait to see you guys soon.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.